Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Inner Views. And today I'm speaking to Bronwen. We've been friends for a long time, and I'm really just so excited that I've managed to talk her into doing this interview with me today. Uh, because Bronwen has to be one of the most tenacious entrepreneurs that I know. And today she is here to tell us the story of how she started a movement called the Pothole Brigade. So, Bronwen, if you'll tell us a little bit more about your story and your journey with that particular business.
Good morning, Mel. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So, the Pothole Brigade was born out of a need from spending so much time in traffic. I was either a rep or I had another business which entailed me spending a lot of time in the traffic. And that led me to realize that there are so many traffic related issues that if we could just come up with solutions to them, that it would make the whole road experience better. So while sitting staring at the back of other people's cars, I came up with ideas for bumper stickers that would inspire people, or could we fix the traffic lights, or what were we going to do about the potholes? And that led to me creating a company called Traffic Care, which is about traffic. I care about traffic because I spend so much time in traffic.
Okay, so
And one of
what year was this? Just to give it some context.
this must be the origination of Traffic Care would probably be about 15 years ago,
Mm.
the original. And that was an idea that brewed. It brewed. It must have been a gift. God was obviously calling me to fill a little space in the universe with relations to traffic. And I just sat and I came up with ideas. I've actually still got an entire bottom filing cabinet drawer full of traffic care ideas because my understanding was that if we took business money, instead of business spending another R1 million a year on a billboard or another TV ad or another media campaign, let's try and get them to spend their money on something that's going to make a difference.
Mm.
So the Pothole Brigade, it sounds all glamorous, but it was a very, very long slog. So let me give you a little bit of the background that led up to right before the Pothole Brigade was birthed.
Mm.
In 2008, I got married.
Mm.
At that point, I was completely on the bones of my ass.
Mm.
Literally, we didn't have food. Like we were getting food from the church, and my next door neighbors would come and drop off a parcel. I had given up completely on trying to get traffic care off the ground. I had tried and tried and tried, and it just refused to go.
Mm.
So I put it down one day.
So just for those watching, we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are going to be watching this show who are right at that early stage that I tried and tried and tried and nothing worked. What does that look like when you're in there?
That that looks like you banging on doors. That looks like you sending out proposals. That looks like you begging and pleading and just having no success. And
Mm.
sometimes there is a point where you actually have to put it down, almost like a seed in the ground. You've got to put it down and allow it to germinate on its own.
Mm.
So in my case, I can clearly remember because I was walking my little boy back in the pram from his daycare, which he went to 3 days a week. We had an old Toyota Corolla 1972 model.
Mm.
And I was sure that this was the end. I couldn't anymore. And I said to God, I've had it. I'm putting this down. I'm walking away. And I literally walked away from it completely.
Mm.
Very despondent, very tired. But
Mm.
in the preamble to that, I had knocked on insurance companies' doors. I had gone to them with my accident shield and my pothole idea and my traffic solutions. So it wasn't that I hadn't done the work. I tried a lot of things. And then in the November, when I'd completely left alone, I got a phone call from Dial Direct. And they said, listen, that pothole idea of yours, we'd really, really like to know more about it. And I went from getting food. Like I said, people would bring us food. That's how broke we were, to invoicing the brand for over R1 million a month at that point, which was all project costs.
Wow.
But just that first experience and that first day waking up and that money was in my account, and I was like, oh, okay, we can buy our own groceries now.
That must have felt
Relief
amazing.
was after all that struggling for so long. And then we birthed a project which ran for 18 months
Mm.
very successfully. We employed, I think, about 16 people. And we filled 67,000 potholes in and around Johannesburg.
67,000 potholes.
67,000 potholes.
16 people pulled that off.
Yeah, so we used a technology called the Jet Patcher. Jet Patcher's got this amazing truck, which has got the stone in like a hopper, and then it's got an emulsion bin at the back, which is the bitumen mix, and it's got a high pressure hose. So you arrive, clean up the pothole, blow all the debris out, blow in a tack coat, and then the stone and the bitumen gets mixed as it blows into the hole at like 100 kilometers an hour, and you compact it and you're done. So you're filling a pothole in probably 5 minutes. It was amazing technology, and it was way ahead of its time, and everybody was like, wow, this is
why aren't they everywhere?
They're definitely more popular now than they were back then.
Okay.
And we did that. I think like many entrepreneurs, I struggled with the not having all the business skills I needed. So it was a lot of learning and a lot of stress. And you need to get help. You need to ask people to help you along the way to learn the things that you don't know yet.
So another important story that I think you have here for some of the people who are watching this is, I have a lot of entrepreneurs in one of my groups who are all, oh, we need funding, we need grants, we need money. You got that thing, you pulled it off, the money arrived. Okay. Can you tell us about the experience? So it was very exciting, the money finally arrived, but it didn't solve all your problems, did it?
No, of course not. So
that only just began.
Yeah, and there was a lot of stress. Obviously, we were working with local government, which made it tricky. We had to do everything the right way. We had to make sure that we were responsible with the resources we were given. When the Pothole Patrol eventually closed down, unfortunately, after 18 months, because local government required us to tender for something we were doing for free, and we couldn't quite figure out how to do that. So unfortunately, the project closed down. I then took another one of my ideas, which was the accident shield, and I approached the IDC for funding. And it was a process. But you can't give up. And something I do know, and I've definitely learned about it myself, is that resistance to change. So when I have to learn something new, I'll sometimes find myself that 7-year-old girl crying because I can't do my homework. I want to growl and shout and bang my books because I don't know how to do it. But that's when you've got to push through. You've got to just take a breath, have a cry, scream in your pillow, stamp your feet, and then come back and go again and go again. Don't just give up. You got to keep trying. I can remember the guy from SPY, which was, I can't remember what the acronym is now, but it was a part of IDC, coming to interview me and asking me the questions for the application we done. And he was asking me about an iteration. So in this iteration, and I just smiled and thought, I've never heard that word before. But I couldn't tell him that I didn't know what he was talking about. So I it for a little while. And as soon as he left, I was on Google, like Googling. It's great.
It's such a beautiful story of learning on the fly.
Better than the previous one.
Such a great story.
And then after 10 years of the project being closed, a gentleman called Jonathan Gratch was able. 10 years. It's 10 years since the project ended. A gentleman called Jonathan Gratch was able to secure the project, and we've been reborn now as the Pothole Patrol.
Okay.
And we have 2 sponsors. We now have Dal Direct and Discovery
sponsored,
co-funding. Opposing insurance companies are co-funding one project for the betterment of everybody on the roads of Johannesburg. How cool is that?
Wow, that is amazing.
Very cool. It's very cool. But here we are again.
How did you pull that off? So everyone in a world where everyone's going competition, you've proven that collaboration is possible even between huge competitors like that.
Well, I can't take any of the glory for this. This was Jonathan's process.
Okay.
But I think in 2021, it's about collaboration. We should stop trying to do it on our own and join forces and work together, because the reality is that it's going so fast and we just don't have the strength. So
Yes.
if we work together, we can do a lot more than if we work alone. I mean, I love
Yes.
the team. Together, everyone achieves more. Just
Yes.
work together. We can do
Yes.
so much more.
Yes. Yes. And now you don't own Pothole Patrol at all. You're simply a consultant to the process.
That's correct.
Okay. So your role's completely shifted. How does it feel now that you're not like traffic care, everything, and now you're just a consultant, and they really, you're being paid just for that one beautiful thing that you're capable of, which is having that big picture line of sight for this challenge.
Yeah. So on that word of big picture line of sight, what often happens, I've seen with my other businesses, because I have more than one, is that if you're called to see the big picture, you're not necessarily called to deal with the small things. And it can become very, very tiring trying to manage the day-to-day business, because that's not my skill set. I finally now learned the art of employing people who can do things better than me, and me not having to try and do everything and prove myself. But that took me to get to 50 before I realized that it actually wasn't a pissing contest, and I didn't need to show everybody how cool I was. I could just show up and just be myself. So everybody look forward to 50. It's really important that you get there and you try to take off those shackles of expectation and start to just be. I mean,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. There is a lot of popular business thinking that says women only self-actualize in business after 50. So I think it seems to be quite a common narrative for us ladies, particularly.
Imagine if we were working collectively, what we could accomplish.
Oh my goodness. All the missed opportunities.
You see, we don't care so much what people think anymore.
Yes.
When we're younger, we're so worried about what we think people think, and we spend so much time doing things. I can remember as a young woman being so concerned that my shoes matched with my whatever it was I was wearing. These
Yes.
days, I wear so many colors at the same time, something matches somewhere.
I love that.
I also buy my hair pink on a regular basis, which is better than the olden day purple rinses, because we can get much more vibrant colors.
Well, I think you're rocking your new color. I think it's fantastic. So, going back to the tenacity, what was it that got you through? What is it that gets you through those days when you want to give up? Because I speak to so many entrepreneurs who are like, they're just so tired, they just want to give up. And what is it that keeps you in the game and stops you from just going and getting a job?
I think it's a combination of things. So one would be my upbringing. My mom was a musician. She worked on the hotel circuit back in the 80s. And that meant that as her kids, we moved from town to town and school to school. So I learned really good coping mechanisms as a kid. New town, new school, new friends, new house, new place. So that gave me some skills which a lot of people don't have. It also made it quite difficult for me to form long-lasting relationships, because I only knew how to move quickly. So that's something I also dealt with as I got older. I also I'm just not a quitter. It's not in me to quit. I've tried quitting a few times, but it only lasts about half an hour, maybe. Oh, whatever. Also, working for someone else. I think I've been working for myself now for too long. I don't think I could go back to working for a boss. I don't always like being the boss. I must be honest, being the boss is tough. Having to take all of that responsibility for everyone within the organization, and they don't always appreciate what you're doing. So they don't see you biting your nails off at month end when you have to pay the bills, or juggling your bank accounts to see if you've got enough for SARS this month, but next week you've got salary. Your employees don't see that, which makes it sometimes a very thankless place. But there's also those moments when you get through month end and you're like,
Everyone's
Yeah.
paid. Everyone's paid. Okay.
Okay, there's money left. Great. So it's not giving up. I do think that having a vision and a plan is important. It's really, really important to write down what you want. Where do you want to go? Start with a big picture and reverse engineer it. So dream really big. I want to achieve this, and then you reverse engineer it. Okay, what's it going to take me to get there? Because your brain, and this I've only learned in much later years, our brains are designed to create and manifest that which we think about. So if we're continuously dreaming and visioning, that thing is going to manifest. But if we continue thinking about what's not going to work, and we keep speaking about why it's not going to work, we're going to continue to cancel out any potential for manifestation because we just obliterate it with our own words. I mean, we can only create what we say. Someone else can't create it for us. So if we keep negatively speaking over our lives, we're going to have a negative experience. And I definitely spoke about the potholes, and I spoke about traffic care a lot in those days. I would share it with anybody and everybody, even before it was a business.
I remember your enthusiasm. We lived near each other at that time, and this is why I'm so glad we're having this conversation now, because back then your fire and enthusiasm for what you were doing, and also I think just as an outsider, as a friend looking in at your struggle, it was so amazing to see you go from that place of extreme struggle to you've sold this concept to a corporate and they're backing you, and you are now making this thing fly. It was just so beautiful to see you pull that off. I was so excited, and I was so disappointed when it came to an end 18 months later. How did you, because you must have suffered like a loss. You must have been extremely, extremely sad.
I was very, very stressed at the time. My marriage wasn't great, so my personal life was very, very stressful, which didn't help. And also because I'm a woman of faith, so I believe in God and I trust that He leads me in certain places. When the project reached its end, I had that feeling of, this is done now, you need to walk away. Normally I would have attempted 50 resurrections in an attempt to make it keep going, but I just had that feeling like I needed to put it down. And I then went on to attempt to develop my accident shield and grow other businesses. But it was very cool 10 years later to come back and have it like spontaneously come back. And so quickly, it was like 1, 2, 3, and then we were going. I was like, okay, well, here we go. With a lot more experience.
Yes.
It's a lot more experience and a lot more wisdom than before.
Are you enjoying it more this time around?
Definitely. Definitely. I like being slightly out, not quite as involved.
Yes.
There have been changes now, so it looks like I'm going to be almost full-time again. So that means my other business is now going to require a manager to manage it so that I can just oversee it from the side.
Yes.
But my long-term dream is not to be working in my businesses, but on my businesses.
Yes.
And to get to a point where I employ people to do what they do best, and for me just to have oversight. So I would love to have lots of businesses and create lots of jobs, but I don't want to be in it every day doing stock take and stock checks. There are people far better qualified than me to be in the businesses doing that. And every new job we create is another person that's employed. And I also encourage my staff. So in my current business, I had a QC. She came in to help us get our food safety project. And I encouraged her to build her own business. Because if she business, she then becomes an employer.
Yes.
And you keep people in your businesses forever. So where you find people who have that drive and who are entrepreneurs, I encourage other entrepreneurs to help them, teach them, show them. Even if they leave you, if they're entrepreneurs, they're going to leave you anyway.
Yes.
Let them go, but teach them everything you can, because that person's going to go out with that seed that you put in their heart, and they're going to go and create another tree that's going to feed more with more seed, and so you can grow for a long time.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps.
back in the day.
Mm.
I just need to thank you. The amount of times I phoned you and said, Melanie, guess what? What am I going to do? You were really my ear for so much of that whole experience that 10 years ago. I regularly called you, just a shoulder to lean on and advice, and you listened to me. So thank you.
Oh no, it was such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure. We just as a business case, it was so exciting to be close to it and to see it. It gave me great hope for what I was doing. You know, my business modeling and my style of running my business and my material of my business is very different from yours. So it's modeled very differently, but it doesn't mean I wasn't learning from you. Just your courage and your grit used to impress me so much. I was like, you know, maybe I could do more than this.
It's important that entrepreneurs share with each other.
Yes.
It's important that we find ways to belong to groups. So currently I'm with a business coach, a group called Action Coach.
Yes.
And there we do, every 2 weeks we come to classes and we're all entrepreneurs in the room and we're sharing and we're
Yes.
helping each other and sharing each other's stories.
Yes.
I think it's so important not to be isolated, because if you're isolated, you will run out of energy.
Yes.
And if you've got negative people speaking into your life, you won't be able to maintain. It just won't be possible.
Yes, yes. And I don't know if it's been the case for you. I certainly know it's been the case for me, where particularly earlier in my career, I would ask my family for advice, and really they're not the right people. because they're going to give you a response through all of their filters of fear and anxiety around income and security and how your job insecurity affects them. So it's not a great place to ask for business advice when you need to make business decisions,
especially if they've never had a business. If they've had a business, if they've been self-employed, they can share their stories with you. But if they've always been employed by someone else, it's completely different. Being self-employed and being employed by somebody else is not the same thing. You have a completely different set of experiences and expectations. Or you have a job and you know you're going to get a salary at the end of every month and you only have to deliver these 10 or 20 deliverables. I do sometimes wish that was me, very briefly. Like, it would be nice to just get paid to do these 10 things and not have to be thinking all the time. But I also know that my brain is not wired that way. My brain is wired to be continuously looking for solutions for the big picture.
Yes.
So right now, my other business is in the gut health space. I'm always looking for, how can I teach people more? How can we help more people?
Yes.
Traffic is the same thing. It's about helping people and creating solutions.
I love that. I love that. So for you, it's never really been about how do we make money? How do I become a successful millionaire? For you, it's been about how do I create solutions to problems around me?
Yes, but I'm learning now about making money.
Okay.
So I'm learning now about how to thrive and not survive.
Okay.
Now it's a case of you start to believe that you have worth and you don't sell yourself short as much as you get older. You don't settle for the absolute minimums that you can get the job. You start to say, you know what, I'm worth more. I carry all of this experience and I want to bring that to you, but I'm no longer going to sell myself short. I'm no longer going to take the leftovers so that the other person can make a fortune. I think it's important that we start to value ourselves, but that comes from inside here. That comes from me thinking I have value, but not being scared that I'm being proud, if you know what I mean. You don't want to appear prideful, so you always try and be humble. But sometimes we're so humble that we starve.
Yes.
We shouldn't be starved.
I think
feel good.
Yes, I think that's a very, very tough line for a lot of entrepreneurs to find enough self-worth to start asking for their price. I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, actually. I spoke to a lady a few weeks ago who was she was so tired. She was like, my customers are so mean to me. And I said to her, you know, the money you're making off them, if they're being that mean and making you that upset, is not worth it.
Our business coach actually suggested that we fire some of our customers. He
Yes.
said, go through your customer list, rate them, and
Yes.
those that rate below a certain rating, fire them, because
Yes.
the energy that you're using to look after them, you could be growing more of your A and B list customers, and they're going to make you more money anyway.
Yes.
And I've never thought about firing my customers, but you have those same ones that give you grief all the time, and they're normally the ones that make the least amount of money. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I won't do it anymore.
All right. I see we are at time, and you told such a fantastic story. Thank you very, very much. And for those of you who are watching, we are definitely going to do a follow-up with Bronwen about her gut health business. So if you were curious about her other businesses, we are definitely going to do follow-up episodes with her to talk about those. But today I just wanted to speak about her whole Pothole Patrol story, because it is just such an incredible story of tenacity and not giving up for all of you out there who feel like it's too tough for you to achieve anything. This is a lady who you can look to as an example. So, Bronwen, do you have any parting words for entrepreneurs out there who are struggling today?
I have just recently learned to meditate. Recently, I've spoken about it for years, but I've never got it right. And a young man lent me a book which taught me a technique that was easy. And do I wish that I had learned it sooner? I think being able to just be quiet and still one's mind and be calm and have less stress would be the secret to anyone's success, but especially an entrepreneur. Because if you can find that time to just be a little bit still, your busy time is so much more, it has more quality, it has more value, because you've taken the time to be still. So I wish that I'd learned to meditate a long time ago. I would have definitely probably been a lot further than where I am now. Don't give up, guys. Look after yourselves, treat yourselves well, exercise and stress. If you exercise, just go for a long walk twice a week. It'll make such a difference. Look after yourselves. You are the key to your business. If you don't look after yourself and you're worried all the time about how much work you have to do, you're not going to have a quality business. You're going to have a stressed out business, because everyone within your business is being affected by how you feel. So take time, breathe, exercise, calm down, and have a vision. And vision, sit there and dream, like sit in your garden and imagine how awesome it could be. And then your brain will figure out the rest. We've all got amazing brains.
Oh, that's such an inspiring parting message. Thank you so much, Bronwen. I appreciate it so very much. It was really wonderful talking to you today.
And if you live in the Joburg area, you can report your pothole on the Pothole Patrol app. We're not in the whole country yet, but you never know.
Oh, wonderful. So there's an app that people can download?
You can download the Pothole Patrol app, and they can pinpoint their pothole. They can even send us a photograph of their pothole. And if we are able to, we'll fix it.
That's amazing. And this service is only available in Gauteng so far?
At this point, only Johannesburg. So we're not even in the Tshwane region. We're only in the JRA region. But we do have a vision to take it into the country.
Okay. Good luck with that. I'm behind you all the way. I want to see this thing go the whole way, because if anybody deserves it, it's you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for the opportunity.
Such a pleasure.